Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this is just a quick video right here to tell you, I'll keep it quick, to tell you that later on today I'm going to be doing a live stream covering a package that Byron sent me. Alright, he sent me a package and we're going to go through that. Also, because today and tomorrow are the end of November, and I haven't done a giveaway, during the live stream, I'm going to drop the magic word, and then tomorrow I'm going to do the drawing. And that way, I was thinking about it, just doing it on the live stream, doing the giveaway, but then that would only be for people to happen to catch it at that time, and it would limit it a lot more. This way, I'll just drop the magic word, and then they have until tomorrow to either watch that or figure it out, and then we'll do the drawing also live sometime tomorrow. And the live stream today will be sometime later this afternoon, so you don't have to worry about that. In the meantime, I would like to cover with you, let me sit down, readjust this. All right, the background is still, I haven't worked on the table yet, but I'm working on everything else. All right, now for the last, I'd say, couple of months, I've been going through this issue where I'm losing interest in my hobbies and stuff, and I couldn't figure out what it was, that was causing that. And I'm going to go through what I went through and why. And I call this the ordeal. Now, I'd like to preface this by saying that this ordeal was not done with chemical assistance. I know some people take chemicals that will keep them up for days. My insomnia started on 11/11 and ended the day before Thanksgiving. And it encompassed 17 days. During that time, I didn't sleep. I walked for 60.12 miles. And that's just with the cell phone. I don't have a fitness watch, so if I had the cell phone with me, that's when it recovers, counts my tracks. I ate almost nothing, and I drank not enough water to prevent dehydration. I lost my glasses, and I managed to get by without the glasses and a rangefinder. So I just have near sight, and then the rangefinder I'd use for long sight. I did that for half a day, and it took away some of the anxiety of ever, what if I lost all my glasses? I can get by. I can actually drive a scooter, not real fast, but I can drive a scooter and manage, close up by interpreting blurriness, and far away by using the little rangefinder that's, I think, like 6 power or something. I lost my glasses, of course, and managed with that. I fell and bumped into things. I staggered. I lost my wallet twice and found it. Now, is it PTSD or something else? I personally don't think it's PTSD from the incident that I talked about and the one I haven't talked about. I did have PTSD on those, but that was a long time ago, and I think it was more of just a building up of wrong thinking and isolation. So, not having a pet, because I didn't know about emotional support animals or how easy or whatever it was to get one of those, I passed up on 2 perfectly fine pets, and you've seen them before, Buddy and Shadow. Now, Shadow would have been a little bit more difficult. He was a tough love type of cat. He would have been indoor, outdoor. Same as Buddy. Buddy was a top cat. But when Scrappy, who I used to call Stripe Face, when he started coming along, he kept telling me he was there with Buddy and he was there with Shadow, and he kept telling me, "I'm your friend. These other ones want to be friends and everything, but I really want to be your friend." So what has happened is I've completely changed. If people were religious, they would think that it was the hand of God that touched them, and that made this. I don't believe in that, so I can't use that as a cause. I think it's just bottling up things and finally releasing them it just was this frenzy. You can blame it on the Three-Eye Atlas, you know, the new energy or whatever, or something cosmic, but I kept secrets and I held grudges for decades. The flight line TO, or technical order, it's not classified. I told no one for 50 years. No one except my ex-wife knew about it, and she was in electronic warfare also. So we could have talked about it, but you know what? We never opened that book and just reminisced and looked through it. It was really the only reason why I got that was because a buddy of mine found it while, you know, he would look around while I was doing work sometimes, and he looked underneath the cabinet and he saw a stack of these Flightline TOs that they were just going to destroy. And they'd taken them out of their binders, you know, and they were just loose like that. And he said, I'm going to take one, and you should too. And, of course, I did. But then I thought, well, you know, if we probably did do something wrong, which is, it's not classified information, but they could have got us for unauthorized use of government property or not following procedures. But once you got out, there's really not much they can do about it because it's not classified. And how I obtained it was maybe, you know, something they could have dealt with while I was in the service, but I'm out now. So I told no one about that for 50 years. I needed glasses for 25 years. And all it took for now was $100. I probably could have gotten that free. I didn't go to family gatherings for 13 years because I held a grudge. And when I went there, I saw what had happened. One of my nephews that I liked back then, there's not a lot of them that were born back then. He's the first nephew. He was 4 years old at the time. He's 17 now. All right? And I think about, all right, not only did I miss, you know, seeing him grow up and everything, but what if he needed an uncle to talk to? I mean, obviously he made it on his own, but what if he could have used somebody to talk to? You know, he feels isolated and different, and, you know, I've gone through all of that. So that's wrong thinking on my part and holding a grudge. You know, I just needed to let that go. And I went from caring about nothing. It was really isolating. I was that black hole sun type of thing. Nothing was giving me any interest. The apartment was getting more cluttered. I was just starting to, almost like somebody was hoarding. I was putting extra stuff in I just wasn't putting stuff up. You know, I couldn't get into the closet. You had this pathway you could go through. So physically that makes you shrink up. And then not talking to people for fear that they would see you with a animal you think you're smuggling, when all along any one of those could have been a pet, and there's nothing the management could do about it. All right, so when I started releasing all my secrets, you know, some people were like, you got to keep secrets. You got to, you know, it's not good nowadays to do that, you know, and everything. And yeah, that's good advice. But the thing is, my problem is keeping secrets. It's kept me back from enjoying life. And a lot of these things nobody cares about, like that I smoke. All right. I kept that a secret because it's something I've always kept secret. You know, I grew up in the 60s and 70s. It was not, I mean, if we got caught smoking back then, it could have been a felony. You could have gone to jail. Sorry, I clipped the clipboard like that. And then, even though it's accepted around here, I didn't tell a lot about people about it. I don't, you know, openly smoke and everything for two reasons. One, you don't know who is, even if you think it's cool and everything, keep in mind, it's still a class 1 controlled substance. It hadn't been knocked down to class 3. They consider it federally the same as heroin, you know, which it's not. And to get that classification, it must have no medical uses. It's already, you know, you already got a term for it, medical marijuana. So it's obvious that it needs to be reclassified. But that's something I can talk about now that I couldn't, all right? And if anything that you can't talk about that you keep secret, if somebody else finds out about it, guess what? They can blackmail you with it. Nobody can blackmail me on anything. They can't blackmail me on anything. I don't have anything that you could blackmail me on. I don't have any money, you know. But I did have things that people could hold over my head. Not that they did, but, you know, that's just one of the things. All right, so what happened, you know, through all this? Well, I took quite a bit of damage to my body because I went 17 days and I got 6 or 7 hours of non-consecutive sleep, at most 1 hour per 24-hour period. I ate almost nothing. Now, if you think about that, that's more like a quest, or, like spiritually, someone would try to find their spiritual animal or their guide, or, something like that. Just because I'm an atheist, it doesn't mean that I know everything, or that I know that there. I'm not saying that there is no God or anything. I'm just saying there is no proof that I've found that's acceptable for it, and until that time, I'm not going to blame God for things that other things could happen. All right. But talking about religion was another thing. When people would talk, I would have to hold it in that I was non-religious. In some places, to accept it, you have to, acknowledge it and stuff. I don't do that anymore. In Texas, they come in and in your checkout, cashier will say "bless you" or something. I just take that as they're just being nice to me, that they're not trying to throw religion down my throat. But then other people, you start talking to them, and I know what they're doing because I was raised Southern Baptist. They're witnessing. Your religion requires you to profess God in front of other people and to acknowledge it, and the more you talk about it, the better. Fine, that's fine for you, but, for other people, that's, the United States has a clause that says we will not establish any particular religion, all right? And so it's okay to be an atheist here. In Saudi Arabia, they'd execute me. If you have a state religion, that means you must act like you belong to that religion, or die in some places, or suffer severe consequences because you're challenging the authority. Thankfully, we're in America, where we have freedom from religion. Not only freedom of religion, but freedom from religion. And that's why I love the Constitution. There are various presidents I liked and disliked and stuff, but as long as they were following the Constitution, it's just different personalities, When someone comes through and is trying to take away the Constitution and rule by decree, I don't care who you are. I don't care what political event you belong to. I will fight. I will resist that, up to physical fighting if I have to, because it's wrong. This is America. We don't have a king. We have a representative government. And if you're offended by that and you're MAGA, well, then you're not going to be happy in this channel, because I'm going to speak my mind when I feel like it. I'm not going to turn it into a political channel. I'm not going to turn it into a religious channel. I'm just telling you what I went through and what freedom I have gained. And you know what did it? I set these traps myself. I set these traps in my mind. I told myself that non-classified TO, if I would have just read the introduction, it says it's not classified unless you write classified information in it. I knew this from our training, when they were going through our career field, and they said, can you talk about your career field to your parents or anybody else? Yes, but there's certain things you cannot talk about, and those are the things that require a secret or a top secret or whatever clearance. And you know what those are, because you have to sign out a separate book and separate procedures for it. As long as you're not doing specifics and like that, you can tell people I'm in electronic warfare instead of saying, well, I'm a cook or something. It's not that secret of a career field. And a lot of the information, some of the pictures I took in there, like inside the shop in Bentwaters, well, it's behind a cipher. There's a reason why it's behind a cipher, because there's classified information. You certainly don't want a camera in there. I took pictures obviously and openly. It wasn't secret. Everybody in there knew I was doing it. And it was just, it's so blurry you can't see the exact frequencies. You can't see what we're doing. Nothing was classified, was divulged. But guess what? If they would have caught me doing that while I was in the service, yeah, I would have gotten out, and it wouldn't have been with an honorable discharge, because they would have accused me of violating my security. I don't know what all they would have done, but I would have lost my job and been punished a lot for that anyway. So I opened my life up because I can't be blackmailed if I'm not keeping it a secret, So Somebody wants to hold that over my head. All right, go ahead. Now, I'm still working on the gains and losses. I'm still, trying to understand that. But I can tell you what I have gained. I've gained at least 25 new friends. That alone would be worth it. I've gained going from an introvert to almost an extrovert. I don't have to hide from people. I can talk to them. Just doing that, just being able to talk to people. Now I can do Wi-Fi. Can I afford Wi-Fi? No. It's because my friends are sharing it with me. And I say friends. Before, the only one name I'm using now is Chad because I've used it before. But the way I viewed Chad and everything, he would get back there, and when I would hear him talking, it's like, oh no, Chad, I know there's going to be smoking and belching and talking. Now, you know what? It means he's up. I can go down there and join in with him if I want, with the talking. Same way with another guy on the other end of the house. He kept to himself. I've been talking to him recently. I didn't even know his name. Now, we have a lot in common. And it's the same way. Different races, different people, everything. I'm just happy to see them. If I don't know their name, I'll get to know it, I'm just like a normal person now, It is not normal. I've always been a little off. But, I mean, I've gained my sanity back, I guess is what you call it. My quality of life has drastically improved. Because you can do things on your own. You can try to defend this community on your own. But if you're a lone wolf, you're pretty easy to take out. You've got to go to sleep sometime. But if you've got just one friend to back you up, you've got somebody to watch you. If you've got 2 Marines and you're prior Air Force, you've got a base of people that, understand tactics a little bit, And then if you go and talk to other people, like people of color that know how to deal with life on the streets, you've got another, basically, version of what I'm trying to do is establish a community, not a gang, a community of neighbors, all right? Some are going to be neighbors that you can talk to, and they're friends, and some of them, because we're an apartment complex, you don't know who they are. You don't have to be afraid of them or anything, but you can find out sooner or later if it's someone you can trust. And if it's not someone you can trust, you don't have to do anything about them. You just don't trust them. You don't talk to them or whatever, And you go on about your life. You let them live their life, and you live their life, yours. I'm not trying to convert anybody into my way of thinking. I'm just telling you, I found out what works for me. I found out my problem was all of the mental traps that I had. Where it says right here, it says no knife, no life. I've already reached that point. I mean, I had knives, but having knives was not giving me any joy. It was getting to be where, I've got this channel, I need to support it, and I got members I need to support, but I'm really not into it, that was back then. And I'm not really finding joy in that or anything. I was just withdrawing more and more and becoming more isolated, and I could see what was going to happen. No pets, no friends, no life, no joy, sooner or later. I mean, I wouldn't do anything, but you can see what path it's going through. You don't have anything that brings you joy in life. You don't have anything to look forward to. I mean, it can get pretty dismal, and I'm a veteran. I've been through PTSD. Now, I'm not blaming that on what happened. Everybody handles stress differently. I'm just saying, one of my PTSDs was before I went in the service, and one was while I was in the service. And it doesn't matter if you're in the service or not. Trauma is trauma. It doesn't care what your job was or who you are or everything. If you experience trauma, everybody handles it differently. And I never went through therapy or anything for any of this stuff. So I handled it on my own, and I made a lot of wrong decisions in the process. Some were good and some were bad. So what I'm saying, all I'm saying is, I've been through an ordeal. It's going to take me a while to heal up. I've got cuts and scars, and this was the kickstand closing on my thumb. This is not normal right here. There's a raised spot. I wasn't taking my vitamins. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I went through an ordeal, but what I'd like to say out of it is I'd do it all over again, because what I've gained is, like I said, I was looking at it as now I'm down to gains and losses. What I did with this is kind of an after action report. You know, I tried to look at it as write down all the things, you know, that happened. Oh, I lost my glasses too for a day, and that had always been my big fear. What if you lose your glasses? I was able to drive the scooter. I was able to recognize people with that little rangefinder thing, because it turns everything real clear from far away. This is just stuff that I need to do. But 17 days, it was a lot longer than that, because going up to, I did more miles than that. I lost my glasses. I managed with rain. I fell. You know, these were my little notes. You know, and yeah, that's my evaluation of it. I've gained a new kitty as a friend. I was willing to give her up if I had to. I've always had, you know, Scrappy as a friend, but he's really super friendly. He gets to come in and see his daughter once in a while. But he's an outdoor cat now. I mean, he comes in if it's cold or he wants, you know, food, stuff like that. But really, the quality of my life has improved. You're going to see it on the channel. The channel's going to improve because of the live streams, everything I can do with Wi-Fi now that I couldn't do before. And all that came from talking to people. Also, if you hold things in, you know, it's good to talk about it. I was talking to no one. Now I've got at least 2, you know, former vets that I can talk to about stuff if it's related to that, and a bunch of other people just about regular things. And the reason why you know, that maybe some people get upset about, you know, it being PTSD, you know, is because there are people that have PTSD from their legs get blown off or seeing their friends getting killed. I was not. This PTSD is not from combat. I'm not trying to stolen valor that, you know. And I understand that other people suffer real things. Guess what? People that didn't get their legs blown off suffer PTSD also. All right. Like I said, it's not an exclusive club. You know, anybody's eligible. Same way with insomnia. Anybody can get insomnia. Sometimes you don't know a reason why. Everybody was telling me to take melatonin. It did nothing for me. I felt slightly drowsy, like you're getting ready to go to sleep. I waited an hour. I took another one. It did nothing for me. All right. So I had to work. I had to work everything out. When I was feel like, okay, I've walked enough. I've taught. You know, I've processed this enough. Now I can lay down and go to sleep. As soon as I would try to go to sleep, I would think about something I need to do here, you know, because now I'm cleaning up, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, you know. So I'd get up and I'd start doing it because I felt like I've been isolated and putting things off for so long. Now I'm the other way. I'm open and I got a lot of stuff to do. And I felt also like because I was finding all the answers and everything was turning so good, it's just kind of like you're just expecting the other shoe to drop, you know. You don't want to get too happy because you know something bad's going to come up. And that's why I was like motor mouthing and putting out videos and stuff, is because I really did not believe I was going to survive this ordeal. Not because of what I did, but because of the toll it takes. I mean, I was getting up and down. I was literally falling on my ass. I mean, one time I just tripped and fell the whole width of a sidewalk and landed in the ground. I didn't break a hip. I banged into all kinds of things with my knees. I dropped a lock on my toe. It may have broken it. I dropped a flashlight on my toe. Oh, that hurt too. Just from waist height, both of these things. But the lock that I dropped was a Yale padlock, solid brass, full-size one. It landed on the toe next to my little toe. May have broken that. I don't know. I did, where you stub your toe. Oh man, I did that a few times here, really bad. But like I said, in the process, I gained a lot. And one of them is, you know, like I said, I didn't think that I could own a pet or have a pet, you know, so I would have to do everything sneakily. And I didn't want, you know, management or anybody to find out. I told them all this now. I told them, you know, what I was going through. And there's really nothing they can do about it. They can't charge me back fees or anything because I would have been authorized. I mean, maybe they could, but it's not to that point where they feel like I was scamming them for just to get out of paying them. I was just trying to take care of an animal that needed a little help, and now I've got a rambunctious little kitten. And I try to give her toys and stuff when she wants to bite me and kick me, but she's a really nice cat. Now, this infection I had covered before. I'm going to have to cover it again because you use your thumb a lot. This one right here, I don't know how I got it, but it's a split like this. I used a butterfly bandage on it to hold it together. But while I was going through my ordeal, I just left it there, and I would bump into things and be, ow. And I do this and it's, ow. And I was just going through basically a lot of pain, but I didn't cry, I mean, I got over it. It's, that's life. And like they say, no pain, no gain. Man, I have gained so much. So I'm going to cut this off because I'm running at the mouth again, and I'm getting back to normal. But I was, before, when I've heard of people going for longer than like 72 hours without sleep, nowadays, I mean, it's understandable if they were using chemicals or something that's designed for that. And that's just a matter, in a way, you can predict how long it's going to be because it's a matter of the purity of the substance you were taking, your own tolerance, and time. If you took X amount and after a certain amount of time, certainly not 17 days, maybe a week at most, you would come down. Mine was until I get it figured out. There was, that's what was going on. So this is kind of messy, but anyways, you see how this is where the bandage is. I'm going to take a shower after this, but you see how it's healed up now? That split was open. And so every time, it'd start healing up, and every time I bump this, it'd pull it back. So I put a butterfly bandage like this. I put another one like that, and I taped it. That's just recently. This is probably a piece of metal or something I got in there. There's an infection underneath. There's a little bit of pus there, but I've read, that let your body work on it. Don't lance it. You're going to have a problem. So I'm going with that. This side's got some damage, but a lot of the dryness and stuff right here is from dehydration. When I took a piss the other day, it came out brighter than scrambled eggs. I mean, darker than scrambled eggs. All right. So one of the things you can check for dehydration on your urine, you don't want it coming out completely white, but you want a little bit. But the darker it gets, the more dehydrated you're getting. There's a little chart that they can show you. Like this range is okay. This is a little bit dehydrated. This is severely dehydrated. What happens when you get severely dehydrated? You can get kidney stones. I've had them before. So I started, for me, I'm not giving medical advice, I'm just telling you, I started drinking lemon or lime water because the citric acid in that helps break down the stones. And I started drinking more water. I've been drinking coffee and everything else. Coffee's a diuretic. I mean, it'll help. You're already losing water. So I started rehydrating myself, and I'm recovering right now. I'm just telling you that I've been through an ordeal. It's going to take me a little bit of time to recover physically. Mentally, I think it was worth it. I'm still crazy as I was before, but one of the things you do, one of the sacrifices you do in keeping secrets is, by its very nature, you can't talk about some things. And I won't either, because the things that were classified in my career field were things that I've forgotten. I've memorized before. I completely forgotten. I could probably go through Google and remind myself, but guess what? They were secret back then until I've been told otherwise. They're still secret because even though the model of aircraft that I worked on the B-52, is no longer in service. The two models, the D and the G, they're just flying the H. It's a completely different system. I'm sure ECM has evolved in 50 years, so anything I gave away would just be old news. But I'm going to maintain that because it's easy to do. I don't remember it. You could torture me, like I said, and I'd just make something up. And they already know all this stuff, you know. So again, it's wrong thinking. It's just wrongful thinking. It's being overly cautious. And the I'll leave you with this: the reason why being friends with your neighbors and everything comes in handy is because you can help them and they can help you when situations happen. If a situation happens, let's say a total blackout, I could supply enough batteries and flashlights to keep most people happy and to recharge them using solar or some other type of generator. I could, encourage them like, look, if there's abandoned vehicles around, let's take the 12-volt battery out. We can work with that, for home power. But working as a community, it's just like they said if you're in a survivalist situation, you can't really do it that well alone unless you're hiding in a mountain. But if you're a community or a group and you know how to defend yourself, you can weather the storm until things return to normal. And it doesn't have to be SHTF. It could be like a tornado or flooding or anything else. My thought now is any way I can help somebody. I'm the opposite. Like I said before, I was suspicious of people and not trusting and introvert. And now I'm the opposite. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know what it happened, but I'm glad it happened, even though I've suffered all this. So let me stop this and keep an eye out for this afternoon. Like I said, we're going to go through what Byron has generously sent me once again. And one of the knives that he's included, he said I could have everything in there. But one of the knives that he's included in there, I'm going to include with the giveaway. I'll show you the giveaway items that are going to be for this month. And bear with me. I'm a work in progress. And it'll probably be that way the rest of my life. But now I'm going to go to family gatherings. Now I'm going to talk to people. I'm a different person, even though I was the same one. So I hope you have a happy Saturday. And it could be happier for you Sunday if you win. So look at the... I don't say look at what I was giving away because, like I said, normally I would have done this by now and we would just be doing the giveaway. But anyway, we'll make it through. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. He says, I want out of here. Come on. Can't handle that child life, huh? He was sitting there purring after I was petting him. I brought her along, and then he started cleaning her, but he was getting kind of aggressive, She rolled over on his belly, and then he kind of like grabbed at her throat. I don't know. Anyways, I had to interrupt that.